close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Everything around you, the silence, the noise, the sensations that visit your skin right now, all of it is part of something much greater than what your eyes can see. Something invisible, but profoundly real. Something that listens, responds, and above all, mirrors exactly what vibrates inside you. Maybe you've been feeling it. That strange sensation that life seems heavier lately. That certain situations, certain relationships, certain doors that used to open are suddenly closing, and you ask yourself, why? Why does it seem that right when I decide to change, when I finally choose to evolve, to heal, to become someone new? Everything starts falling apart. It's almost as if the universe itself, the very field that once seemed to whisper encouragement, suddenly starts to test you. And here, perhaps, lies one of the most misunderstood truths of the spiritual path. A truth that science and spirituality are finally unveiling together. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in epigenetics, shows us that our subconscious mind, programmed mostly in the first 7 years of life, holds the keys to 95% of our daily behaviors. It's not just thought, it's not just desire. It's the silent program running beneath the surface that decides whether your transformation flows or collapses. What if what appears to be resistance, chaos, or problems isn't punishment? What if it's not the universe denying you, but an invisible test, an energetic alignment, a biological recalibration? Epigenetics already teaches us that environment shapes genetic expression. But here's the deeper question. What if the environment isn't just the physical world, but the invisible field of your own consciousness? What if the very fabric of reality is responding to the frequency you hold within? Greg Braden, researcher of the heart's electromagnetic field, reminds us that the universe, this quantum field, operates not like a vending machine, but like a holographic mirror. It doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you exactly what you are vibrating, especially in the moments when life feels most overwhelming. And perhaps, just perhaps, this moment where everything feels uncertain, where confusion, sadness, or frustration arise, is actually the universe leaning in, whispering, "Are you truly ready? Are you truly stable in the frequency of the life you say you desire? Or are you still oscillating between the old self and the new?" When we understand this invisible test, the fight ends. Everything changes. The exhaustion of trying to control reality softens, and something inside us finally learns to flow, not against the field, but with it. This is where the real journey begins. There is something profoundly unsettling, and yet perfectly natural, about what happens when a human being decides to transform. The illusion, the most dangerous one, is believing that transformation, that spiritual evolution, is a straight line, that it happens smoothly, effortlessly, without resistance. But the truth is far more complex and far more honest. Bruce Lipton, one of the great voices of the new science of consciousness, reminds us that the human brain operates 95% of the time on autopilot. This means that even when you consciously decide, with all your heart, that you are ready to change, ready to create a new life, something deeper, hidden, far older, quietly rises from within, pulling you back to the familiar, to the old identity. Have you noticed? That right at the edge of a breakthrough, life suddenly feels heavier, that unexpected problems emerge, that emotions become turbulent, that situations collapse, and it leaves you wondering, why does it feel like things are getting worse? Right when I'm trying to change? It's not just psychological, it's biological. Your brain, your nervous system, your entire cellular intelligence have been designed for one fundamental purpose: survival. And survival, in biological terms, means keeping you inside the familiar, inside the known, even if that known is pain, limitation, or suffering. From the perspective of your subconscious, anything new, anything unknown, triggers the same neural circuits associated with danger. Yes, even your healing, even your expansion, even the life you deeply long for, is perceived by your body as a potential threat if it doesn't match the programming you've carried since childhood. And this is why, when discomfort appears, when confusion rises, when life seems to push back, it's not a sign of failure. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's the unmistakable signal that the old program, the old self, is beginning to dissolve. It's the tension between the self you have been and the self you are becoming. The invisible cycle shows itself exactly here. You desire the new, you visualize it, you affirm it. But the moment the nervous system feels the uncertainty of stepping into the unknown, it triggers resistance. And that resistance creates thoughts, emotions, and external situations that try to convince you to stay exactly where you've always been. And here lies the hidden paradox. The discomfort, the turbulence, the apparent chaos isn't the enemy of transformation. It's the doorway. It's the signal that something profound is happening beneath the surface. Something that isn't just about mindset, but about biology, vibration, and the deep coding of your cells. If this moment feels heavy, it does not mean that you are failing. It means that the old identity is struggling to hold on, and the question the universe and your own subconscious is asking you is simple, yet profound. Are you truly ready to let it go? There is a subtle but powerful confusion that often arises on the path of conscious transformation, a misunderstanding that can quietly sabotage even the most sincere intentions. It's the belief that manifestation is about forcing positive thoughts while suppressing everything that feels uncomfortable, painful, or uncertain. You've probably heard it, or maybe even whispered it to yourself. Those phrases like, just stay positive, ignore the fear, don't give attention to the negative. But what if this very approach is the reason why so many people feel stuck, oscillating between moments of hope and waves of deep frustration? Because here's the truth that Bruce Lipton and the very science of epigenetics helps us to understand. Your body, your cells, your entire biological system is not listening only to your conscious thoughts. It's listening deeply to the vibration behind those thoughts, to the coherence or the incoherence between what you think, what you feel, and what your nervous system believes is safe. When you try to force a positive thought, while your body is flooded with fear, doubt, or unresolved grief, what happens isn't alignment, it's dissonance, vibrational dissonance. The mind says, I am abundant, but the heart whispers, I am afraid. The mouth affirms, I am worthy, but the body contracts, still anchored in the old memories, in the old wounds. And this is why so many experience the exhaustion of trying to manifest, only to feel like nothing truly changes. Because the quantum field, this invisible intelligent reality that responds to you, is not responding to your words. It's not even responding to your thoughts alone. It is responding to the coherence between your conscious mind, your subconscious programming, and your emotional vibration. Bruce Lipton reminds us, with profound clarity, it is not thought alone that creates. It is the synergy, the alignment, the coherence between thought, belief, and emotion that changes reality. And here lies something deeply liberating. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to fake positivity. You don't have to deny what hurts. Because the real path, the path where transformation truly happens, isn't about pushing fear away. It's about meeting it, embracing it, and bringing it into coherence with the vision of the life you desire. When you ignore the fear, when you suppress the doubt, it doesn't disappear. It simply moves deeper into the body, and from there, it continues to broadcast a frequency of contraction, of limitation that the field cannot ignore. But when you allow yourself, with compassion, to acknowledge what is real inside you, when you hold space for both the desire for change and the tenderness of your own wounds, something extraordinary happens. The incoherence begins to dissolve. The vibration rises, not because you forced it, but because you integrated, you harmonized, you became whole. This is not about bypassing pain. It is about transcending through presence, through truth, through alignment between mind, heart, and body. This is the frequency the universe recognizes. This is the vibration where the field, finally, begins to mirror the life that your soul has always known is possible. There is a moment, a sacred, mysterious, and deeply misunderstood moment that arises quietly, yet unmistakably, when you are on the edge of true transformation. It's that space where, instead of life becoming smoother, it suddenly feels like everything begins to fall apart, where the structures that once held you, the identities you wore, the relationships, the jobs, the patterns that once felt safe, begin to dissolve, sometimes painfully, sometimes abruptly. And it is here, right here, that the mind begins to panic. It whispers, "Why is this happening? I thought I was healing. I thought I was doing everything right." And yet, chaos knocks on the door. Uncertainty rises. Things seem to break before they get better. But what if this chaos, this sacred disorder, isn't punishment? What if it's not a mistake, but an intelligent, necessary, and even loving part of the process? The spiritual neuroscience, the quantum biology, they both reveal a truth so profound, yet so rarely spoken with honesty. Every structural shift in reality, every deep internal change, is preceded by a phase of destabilization. The old reality, the old frequency, cannot sustain the new self you are becoming, and so it begins to collapse. Greg Braden, together with the research of the HeartMath Institute, reminds us that the electromagnetic field of your heart communicates directly with the quantum field, and when that internal vibration begins to change, the external world must inevitably reorganize itself to match. But reorganization often looks and feels like destruction, like endings, like chaos, just as the caterpillar does not become the butterfly by painting wings on its old body. No, it must fully dissolve. It melts into a formless soup inside the cocoon. Its old identity, its old body, completely disintegrates before the blueprint of the butterfly can activate. And so, the same happens with you, with your life, with your reality. When the old self begins to dissolve, the energy structures that supported it, both within you and around you, begin to break. Relationships shift, opportunities disappear, emotions flood to the surface. The nervous system trembles between the fear of letting go and the calling of the new. And it is so easy, in that place, to believe that something has gone wrong, to think, "Why am I being punished? Why is life betraying me right now?" But the deeper truth is, you are not being punished. You are being updated. Your field, your vibration, your entire energy matrix is recalibrating to align with what you asked for, with what you are becoming. The paradox of chaos is that it is not the end. It is the space between, the sacred disassembly, before the quantum field reconfigures into the life that your soul has been calling forth. And the question that arises here is one of the most sacred questions you will ever face. Can you trust, not the outcome, but the process itself? Can you hold steady, not because everything looks certain, but because you understand that the turbulence is the proof that the old is dissolving and the new is being born? There is something profoundly humbling and yet incredibly empowering about understanding how reality truly responds to us. So often, we are taught to believe that manifestation is simply a mental process, that if we think hard enough, visualize vividly enough, or repeat affirmations consistently, the universe will comply. But the truth, the deeper truth, is far more intricate, far more intelligent, and far more honest. Bruce Lipton, with the clarity of science married to the wisdom of spirit, reveals something that changes everything. The conscious mind, the part of you that sets intentions, dreams, imagines, processes only about 40 bits of information per second. But your subconscious, the deeper mind, the one programmed since your earliest years, operates at more than 40 million bits per second. It means this: if your conscious mind desires one reality, but your subconscious is still coded in fear, in lack, in the survival patterns of the past, then what you are broadcasting into the field is not the frequency of your desire, but the frequency of your fear. This is the silent mistake, not because you're wrong, not because you're broken, but because the very structure of human consciousness was designed this way. You cannot manifest the life you desire if the desire lives only in the brain, while the body, the nervous system, the emotional field, remains anchored in the vibration of the past. Greg Braden, echoes this truth with crystalline clarity. The field does not respond to what you think. It responds to the coherence between thought, emotion, and feeling. This means your mind may say, "I am ready," but if your heart is contracted, if your breath is shallow, if your body is still bracing for the wounds of yesterday, then the signal sent to the quantum field is mixed, fragmented, incoherent. And the field, this intelligent mirror, does not respond to confusion. It reflects precision. It mirrors clarity. It amplifies coherence. This is why thinking about the new life is not enough. Speaking about it is not enough. Visualizing it, while the body trembles in doubt, while the nervous system still clings to the safety of the familiar, simply sends contradictory messages to the field. The real shift, the profound shift, happens when the body, the heart, the breath, the entire vibrational field within you, learns how to feel safe in the frequency of the new, even before the external world confirms it. This is not just a mental game. It is somatic, it is vibrational, it is cellular, and perhaps the most sacred question you can ask yourself now is not, do I believe mentally in the new life, but rather, does my body, does my heart, does my nervous system actually feel safe in the reality I say I desire? Because until that safety, that somatic permission, is present, the subconscious will continue broadcasting the frequency of the past, and the field will continue mirroring exactly that. This is not a failure. This is a sacred invitation. An invitation, not to force, but to embody, not to pretend, but to align, to become, in every cell, in every breath, the frequency of the life you are ready to receive. There is a sacred intelligence embedded not only in your mind, but in every cell of your body, an intelligence that listens, that feels, that responds not to words, not to surface thoughts, but to the energetic environment you create within yourself, moment by moment, breath by breath. Bruce Lipton, in his pioneering research, reveals something both astonishing and profoundly empowering. Your cells, the very building blocks of your biology, do not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. They do not distinguish between a physical environment and an emotional, vibrational environment. They respond entirely to the signals they receive, and this is where the secret of true transformation lives. You are not simply a mind trying to change your thoughts. You are a living, breathing, electromagnetic field, a symphony of frequencies, and unless this entire system, unless your cells, your nervous system, your emotional body, begin to believe in the safety of the new reality, nothing truly shifts. This is why the common path of trying to change life through mental effort alone often leads to exhaustion, frustration, and doubt. Because the mind can speak of the future, but the body, if still anchored in the fear of the past, continues to broadcast signals of contraction, of survival, of resistance. But something extraordinary happens when your internal environment begins to shift, when your thoughts align with your desires, when your emotions align with the felt sense of safety, of joy, of expansion, and when your body begins to vibrate, not with the memories of pain, but with the frequency of the future, as if it were already real. The quantum field, the holographic universe, responds not to the noise of wanting, but to the clarity of being. It responds when what you think, what you feel, and what you embody are in coherence. This is how reality changes, not because you begged the universe, not because you forced yourself into positivity, but because you became, internally, a precise match to the reality you were calling in. And here arises a reflection that changes everything. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what your body, your nervous system, your cells believe is safe, believe is possible, believe is home. This is why the true work is teaching your body to relax into the frequency of the new, teaching your breath, your heart, your entire electromagnetic field to feel comfortable in the vibration of abundance, of love, of health, even before the world outside shows any proof. When the body believes, reality shifts. When the heart trusts, the field responds. When the nervous system stops bracing for pain and starts opening to possibility, the hologram of your life begins to reorganize itself, effortlessly, precisely, inevitably. There is a profound truth, a truth that echoes through both ancient spiritual wisdom and the frontiers of modern science, that changes everything when it finally lands deep within you. The universe, the quantum field, this intelligent matrix of reality, does not test your faith in the way you may have believed. It does not ask how badly you want something. It does not challenge the strength of your mental will alone. No, it listens, it feels, it responds, only to one thing: your vibration. Bruce Lipton, with the clarity of epigenetics and the biology of belief, shows us this simple yet life-altering truth. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are a living program, a dynamic field of energy shaped by subconscious codes, by the emotional signatures you have carried since the earliest days of your existence. And any true transformation requires more than wishing. It requires rewriting that code. Greg Braden, standing on the bridge between science and spirituality, reminds us that the universe, this holographic field, does not respond to the volume of your prayers, nor the desperation of your longing. It responds purely to the coherence, the harmony between thought, feeling, and belief, not in fleeting moments, but especially in the moments of greatest pressure, in the moments when chaos rises, when the old identity trembles, when life feels like it's testing every fiber of your being. And so, the chaos you may be feeling right now is not a punishment. It is not a failure. It is not a sign that you are moving away from your transformation. It is, in fact, the proof that you are standing at the membrane, the threshold of a new reality. The discomfort, the confusion, the sense of being squeezed is not life closing in on you. It is the contraction before the birth. Because the universe does not ask, "Do you want it?" It asks, "Can you hold the frequency of it, even when nothing outside of you looks like it yet? Can you trust, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of coherence? Can you remember, even as the old dissolves, that the discomfort you feel is the exact vibration of the old code, being overwritten, and perhaps the most sacred question of all, whispers to you now? If life feels tight, if reality feels like it's pressing against you, could it be because you are right now standing at the edge of the impossible, ready to become the version of yourself you were always destined to be? The test was never outside of you. It was never about external obstacles. The test was always internal. It was always about whether your vibration, your embodied frequency, could hold the signal of the life you were calling forth. And here's the most beautiful truth. You are not powerless in this. You have, within you, right now, the tools, the biology, the consciousness, the breath, the heart, the ability to choose, moment by moment, to embody the frequency of your future until the universe has no choice but to reflect it back to you, not as a miracle, not as luck, but as the most natural consequence of who you have become.